Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in information? Endless articles, overflowing inboxes, project briefs that seem to ask for more than they actually say.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge challenge for pretty much everyone, I think.
Yeah. How do you cut through all that noise? How do you quickly get to the real heart of what's important and figure out what's really being asked of you?
It's tough.
Well, today's deep dive is designed to be your shortcut. Our mission, really, is to help you pull out the most vital insights from whatever source material you're dealing with, make you instantly better informed.
Better prepared, too.
Exactly. So our topic today might sound a bit specific. At first, it comes from the Advanced Performance Management exam, APM, but it tackles this really universal challenge, finding embedded requirements in complex documents.
All right. And the core lesson here isn't just about exams. It's about how deeply you need to engage with information, any information really, to find the true instructions, the full context.
It's a skill you can use everywhere.
Absolutely. It's crucial for anyone dealing with detailed briefs, complex research, big projects. It's about spotting those often hidden layers of instruction, the things you need to find for a complete, effective response.
If you've ever felt like you missed something crucial, or maybe your answer was good but didn't quite nail the real question,
then this is definitely for you.
Okay, so our sources for today are an article that explains these changes, and it uses examples from a specimen exam to make it concrete. Let's dive in. The article talks about the big shift. It highlights this significant change in how instructions or requirements are now structured, especially in complex scenarios. Historically, requirements might have been very explicit, like clear bullet points.
Yeah, laid right out for you.
Right. But now there's a definite move towards what they call an embedded approach. The article mentions this started phasing in for parts of the APM exam from September 2019.
And then fully across the board, all sections from September 2022.
So what does embedded actually mean in practice?
Well, this is the really interesting part. It means it's just not enough anymore to skim the first bit, the high-level question or the introduction.
Okay.
Instead, you just like someone taking that exam, you have to really engage with the whole question scenario. Dig into the exhibits, the appendices, all of it.
So the initial requirement, the first thing you read, it won't give you the full picture.
Not even close, usually. The key thing is, your answers, your actions, they must fit the specific context given in that whole scenario. That's where the real task lies. It's about figuring out the true underlying question, not just the surface one.
It sounds simple, read the whole thing, but honestly, in our rush, that's often the first corner we cut, isn't it?
It really is. So yeah, this isn't just a minor tweak.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental shift in how you need to read, how you interpret information.
What's the biggest mistake people make if they don't do that? If they don't dig into those exhibits, what's the cost?
The biggest mistake is giving a generic answer. One that sounds plausible but completely misses the specific context, the nuance of the scenario.
Like answering the wrong question almost.
Exactly. It's like trying to bake a cake with only half the recipe. You might end up with something, but it probably won't be what was intended, right?
Yeah.
You miss vital details, constraints, the specific angle they want you to take.
Okay, so to make this really clear, the article gives us a case study, the Dealin Police Report example.
Right.
Let's imagine you're asked to write a report to the CEO of the Department for Internal Affairs, and you're responding to instructions on specific areas. The source shows 3 main areas listed up front. First, CSFs and KPIs for Dealin Police.
CSFs being critical success factors, KPIs, key performance indicators.
Got it.
Second, evaluating value for money. Third, the use of league tables. Plus, there are marks for professional skills like communication analysis.
Okay, standard stuff on the surface.
But this is where the embedded part comes in, right?
Precisely. That initial prompt lists the general topic, sure, but the actual detailed instructions for each one, they're not in that list. They're woven into the exhibits within the scenario.
So for instance, the article points out there's an exhibit specifically titled CSFs and KPIs that clearly links to the first topic area.
Right. So let's unpack what's hidden inside that exhibit, focusing on the CSFs and KPIs for Dealin Police. The scenario apparently says the minister felt the original key areas were too vague.
Common problem.
So her advisor suggested 4 new critical success factors. Let's see. Greater protection and more support for those at risk, be better at catching criminals, reducing crime causes via community involvement, and create a task force for virtual crime skills.
Okay, quite specific. Now, if you just read the initial bullet point, you might think, okay, I just need to list some CSFs and KPIs for the police.
Yeah, sounds straightforward.
But the embedded instructions, the stuff inside this exhibit, reveal there are actually 2 distinct activities being asked for here.
2. Okay, what are they?
First, you need to justify why these new CSFs were chosen over the original ones, specifically linking it back to the minister's concern about vagueness. So it's not just listing the new ones, it's explaining the reason for the change.
The justification, that's key. And the second?
Second, using these specific new CSFs, you need to recommend up to 2 justified KPIs for each one. And the source even mentions you can use existing data from an appendix, but you could also suggest new data. No calculations needed right now, though.
Wow, okay. That's a huge difference.
Isn't it? It highlights that idea of decomposition by verb justify requires one kind of thinking, recommend another.
So the requirement wasn't just list CSFs and KPIs, it was justify the changes to the CSFs, then recommend justified KPIs based on the new CSFs. It totally reframes it.
Completely.
It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? How often do we miss these kinds of layered instructions in our own work just by skimming?
All the time, probably more than we realize.
Okay, let's look at another example. This shows the embedded approach isn't just for one type of question. This one's called measuring value.
Right, from a different section, showing it applies broadly.
The prompt asks us to respond to the director's request for work on. First, implementing step 2 of VBM, that's value-based management.
Focusing on shareholder wealth, yeah.
And second, the measurement of value itself.
Okay. And again, just like before, the real detail isn't in that initial request. It's in the exhibits. In this case, we look at an exhibit titled Measuring Value. And the scenario tells us the directors are a bit unsure about what financial performance indicator to use.
Right. And here's the crucial embedded instruction tucked away in there. The directors want you to evaluate by calculating economic value added, EVA, whether toe tag has generated value for the year ending June 20x5.
EVA, okay. That's a specific calculation.
Exactly. And critically, it tells you where to get the data. You should use the financial information given in Appendix 2. For anyone unfamiliar, EVA is basically a measure of true economic profit. Did the company make more than its cost of capital?
Right. It's more than just accounting profit. And this contrasts really nicely with the police example, doesn't it? Well, in the police example, the embedded instructions were about justification, recommendation, more analytical thinking, explaining why. Here, it's a very specific action.
Yeah.
Do this calculation using this data from this appendix.
I see. So embedded requirements can take different forms.
Exactly. Sometimes it's deep analysis, justification.
Yeah.
Other times it's direct execution, like a calculation. It shows the variety. It's not just what you need to do, but how you need to do it and with what information.
Okay, so tying this all together, what does this mean for you, the listener? Whether you're facing an exam, starting a new project, or even just trying to make sense of your emails, what's the practical takeaway?
Well, if we connect the dots, it really highlights a few universal skills we can all sharpen. First, it really hammers home the need for critical reading.
Not just skimming.
Definitely not skimming. It's about actively reading the entire context, not just the summary or the bullet points, to grasp the full scope of what's being asked. You almost need to map it out. What info do I need to find to answer this specific part properly?
Okay, critical reading. What else?
Second, that idea of decomposition. Breaking down instructions, maybe by the action verb like we saw. Is it evaluate, recommend, calculate, justify? Each verb signals a different task and pushes you to look for specific details in the source material.
Like your personal instruction manual hidden in the text?
Kind of, yeah. And finally, maybe the most important point. Context is king. Whatever you produce, your response, your action, it must be relevant to the specific details, the constraints, the nuance provided in that source material. No generic answers.
That's a really clear summary. Critical reading, decomposition, and context. Practicing that method, identifying and highlighting all the requested activities seems like the key.
It absolutely is. It ensures you address every aspect, maximizing your effectiveness and, frankly, your understanding, whether it's an exam, a complex project, or just a tricky email.
So we've taken a deep dive today into this world of embedded requirements. We've seen how really understanding the full context of your source material is the key to unlocking those deeper instructions and crafting, well, truly effective solutions.
And maybe a final thought to leave people with.
Go for it.
Think about the next complex email you get from a client, or a research paper you need to review, or that new project brief landing on your desk. How might Perry consciously looking for these embedded instructions? Or maybe trying to figure out the real purpose behind the ask? How might that change how you approach it?
Yeah, could it help you give a more complete, more thoughtful,
Ultimately, more valuable response. I suspect it could.
I completely agree. The principles we talked about today, they really are widely applicable. Go ahead and try applying this mindset next time you're faced with a wall of text.
You might be surprised what you find buried in there.